Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. So Bradley.
Yes, Johnny.
Favourite headline of the week?
Yes.
It was one of the red tops, I can't remember. Might have been the Mirror. Drowning Street.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
So good, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the memes of Rishi. There's one where he is, he's like next to Alan. I don't think he's not. Yeah, maybe he is Alan Partridge as Alan Partridge when he's soaking wet, and he looks very Sunak-like, and his hair is incredibly sort of comb over vibes. Yeah, it was an odd decision, wasn't it, to do that? Very dramatic. He's a dramatic prick, isn't he? Really, for doing that. Could have had an umbrella or something.
I mean, it was dramatic. I don't know whether it was intentional. Man, coming from an industry that's terrible at marketing itself, I appreciated how bad they are at marketing themselves. The Conservatives right now. I
think it was intentional to say, like, he almost showing like strength or something, that I'm not feeble, I can be out in the rain, and I'm like a man of the people, because he's a fucking billionaire, isn't he? It's a joke. It did not come across like it looked badly planned, and then you had Steve Bray, for people who don't know at home, is a protester that spends most of his life outside Parliament Street playing D Reams Things Can Only Get Better and drowning him out. It was just a sorry sight for all concerned. Just have it indoors, buddy. Just look professional. Look like this is an important announcement. Look like you're not literally drowning. And indeed.
I don't know. It was hilarious, but it's caught us unawares on the Craft Beer channel. We're very well connected to politics. Obviously, we have to be, because we're now a lobbying group for UNESCO, our UNESCO campaign.
It's true.
It's caught us on the hop a little bit with our plans for Keep Cask Alive 2.
That is true. That is true. The governmental situation, it's hard. But good.
Yeah, I should have seen it. I should have been messaging my cabinet friends.
Yeah.
And saying, "Oi, where was the warning for us?"
You're going to get people worried that you've got cabinet friends, Johnny.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's a link. So, Rishi Sunak spent, I think it was it Wednesday or Thursday, at the Vale of Glamorgan Brewery in Wales.
Yeah, I saw
where
this.
I guess he was trying to reassure after 14 years of literally stamping on their faces, reassure us that the hospitality industry will be well looked after. And he was there with somebody who's actually appearing in my book.
Oh yeah,
he was there with the local MP. Who I interview. I had a beer with him in the Houses of Parliament last summer, in which he described the role that all the bars in the Palace of Westminster play in the role of democracy. And I had a drink of diacetyl riddled lager, which is the house beer of Strangers Bar in the Houses of Parliament. And so then I saw him stood next to Rishi.
Damn.
Shaking the hands of some people that they've screwed over.
Yeah.
And saying, you know what, everything will be better after the election. Which I'm fairly certain is nonsense.
What was your favourite meme of Rishi? Did you already say which your favourite one was? Because I didn't say what my favourite one was.
What, from the brewery?
No, when he's soaking wet.
I haven't looked at memes. I just saw that a couple of headlines.
Well, there's a fantastic one. This is a film tie-in, Johnny, because obviously we've got to talk about film after this week's video. But have you seen Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner film?
Of course.
So the android at the end, Rutger Hauer, has I think one of the best movie speeches in any movie I've ever seen, when he's talking about all the amazing stuff he's seen in the universe, and how it's going to be lost in time, like tears in the rain, right? So do you remember that? He's like basically naked. He's absolutely soaking wet, and his body is shutting down because it's time for him to die. Anyway, I
can't remember what he says, but I remember the moment.
Are you there with me? You're there, right? So this is from Nick Pettigrew on Twitter.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know who he is. But
I know exactly who he is. He's a political commentator.
Oh, right.
An author. He's very
brilliant.
funny.
Oh, this is amazing. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Gullis eating soup with a fork. I watched Braverman try to support a sofa. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in the rain. Time to die. That is what he says. And then a dove flies away, I believe. In the film. It's like it's beautiful. Rishi, time to die, mate. Go on, piss off.
Well, if it wasn't clear where our allegiances lied on the political spectrum, you now know. So yeah, the UK is going to the polls in 6 weeks' time. So we, personally on the Craft Beer channel, have 6 weeks to make our case to all of the parties, really, that UNESCO should recognise, and the UK government should recognise, cask ale as intangible heritage, much like the Belgians have done with their beer cafe culture. Usually this kind of stuff is like, probably Morris dancing will be getting the nod, stuff like that, but we're hoping that the process of serving, the process of secondary carbonation, and hopefully pubs in general, as a cultural phenomenon in the UK, will be getting listed, and we're going to have to accelerate some plans. We have been working exceptionally hard behind the scenes to Keep Cask Alive Series 2 funded, and I think we're nearly over the line.
Dude, it's been a real slog, but we're sort of forming a plan, aren't we? We've got things in place now. We might be coming at you people to help potentially. But,
basically, yeah. So we couldn't get all of the funding from Fuller's, who funded the first series. So we've gone to multiple different breweries, suppliers, breweries and suppliers, to try and raise as much money as we can to get this shot, because it is not cheap to make documentaries of the sort of the standard and involvement and research and travel that the first series had. But we're thinking potentially we might also do a little crowd fundraise to get us over the line, and in return possibly host some kind of little cask ale festival/conference.
Yeah.
In the late autumn when we release the series, that all the people that crowdfunded it could come along to have some cask ale with us, watch some of the documentaries, and also have their view heard about credit. how we can do it. Yeah, and a producer credit, of course. Producer credit. That's the key line. Producer credit. So we were doing all of that, expecting the election to kind of happen in the middle of it, and we would be like, look at our timing. Now, because I think Rishi's got a job in California he needs to get to, the election's happening in the summer. But that is not all of the news that we've had this week in the beer world, even though that's huge news.
No.
Potentially bigger news elsewhere.
Bigger news elsewhere. Can I do one more of the memes, Johnny?
Oh my god! I'm trying to move us along here.
I know.
Remembering.
This one's from the Trade Union Congress, and it says, "Forced to work in the rain unnecessarily, join a union." I thought that was pretty good, because they're union busters, aren't they? Let's move on. What's the bigger news, Johnny?
Well, I mean, depends where you want to start. Should we start with the fact that 90% of drinks poured in the UK are short pours?
Shocking.
Or the fact that we've gone backwards in terms of gender diversity in the beer industry? Or the very silly story that you found?
I got a couple of silly stories. I think we
You got
should
a couple of
start.
them, okay.
Oh yeah, I think we should probably start on short measuring, Johnny, because nobody likes to feel like they've been done over, mate, do they?
No, not with the beer prices, as we'll get to today. So this is a study that was done by Trading Standards. So the Chartered Trading Standards Institute, the CTSI. So they went around the UK and actually measured the amount of liquid that was being served. In the UK, the liquid is very, very tightly regulated. And in terms of beer, it's 568 ml, including the head, with a 5% tolerance either way. And they found that 86% of beers were short poured in the UK.
That's a lot, isn't it? That is high.
Now, this, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, that pint glasses are, in the UK, a pint to rim. So to get exactly 568 millilitres of beer, you would have to have liquid to the rim, right?
Yeah.
Which nobody really does. Nobody Iceman pours in a pub. You spill too much. So, you do want head on your beer, and you should have head on your beer, and you should have more head than the 5% tolerance allows. But basically what it means is if you get more than that 5%, you're being short poured. This summer, I'm going to be hosting talks at the Manchester, Bristol and London craft beer festivals, giving festival goers the chance to attend tutored tastings, rare beer pours, meet the brewers and even guided tours of the bars. These 3 festivals are the highlights of my events calendar, featuring some of the world's best breweries with delicious restaurant pop-ups, great music and a really welcoming party atmosphere. It's the 3rd year I've been hosting the We Are Beer Tastings table, but for the first time I'm delighted to offer all of our listeners, viewers and Patreons £5 off a ticket when you use the code CBC5. Just hit the link in the description to buy. See you there.
It's a dilemma, isn't it, Johnny? Because I don't want a beer that doesn't have a head on it, because I want to be able to drink it for a little while before all of the fun escapes from it. But also,
is that the technical term? What's happening? If you haven't got any head,
yeah,
the fun escapes.
The fun escapes.
We should try and spread that misinformation. I like it. It would work. It would get people on side.
Yeah. So what's the answer then? Bigger glassware.
Well, yeah. So you can buy glassware that is pint to line. So it's slightly bigger, has a line on it that tells you when you're at 5, 6, 8 mil. But the issue with that is you can't charge necessarily for the extra liquid that would be in the head. So you'd be asking pubs to take a hit unless they put their beer prices up, which, maybe you could have in boom times, in bust times. That's quite the decision to make. The other issue is, of course, if you said, right, we should all be having pint to line glasses, the entirety of the UK on trade would have to go and buy new pint glasses, which is not cheap. Please don't steal pint glasses. And the other issue is communicating that to people. So if you do put your prices up, or if you do start serving with a bigger head on your beer because you've got pint to line, you have to then communicate that to everybody. So they go like, oh, I want a top up on that. You're like, well, no, actually, these are pint to line glasses. So you've got your 5, 6, 8 mil, and then you've got your head on top of that, which is, in a busy bar or a loud nightclub, just a nightmare. So it's one of those things where the only easy answer is to continue with the status quo and reinforce with pubs that they get that tolerance and that's it. But of course the issue with that is that that's not enough head to protect your beer, really. So it's just a nightmare, really.
It's bad.
We should just all move to the Czech Republic.
Maybe. This is glassware related, Johnny. I was watching a really interesting YouTube film about East German glassware that was made in the late 60s, early 70s, developed to be unbreakable. And they don't make it anymore. I haven't watched.
It's not exactly the space race, is it?
No, they're like,
we will make an unbreakable beer glass.
They're literally pretty unbreakable. Like, I watched videos of a guy dropping it from 4 feet up in the air multiple times, and it just bounces. It's amazing. And it's a way of when they're manufacturing the glass, they're like ionizing the surface with a different chemical. I can't remember what it was, but basically, glass is incredibly strong, but it's also incredibly fragile, and that's because most solid structures have like a crystalline structure to the atoms inside them, but glass is like wild. It's like mad freeform little particles going on in there, and this whatever they're ionizing it with, I can't remember exactly how I did it. It fills all the gaps essentially. It makes it really fucking strong, which is amazing.
Right, so it's because if you drop a window, if you're installing a window, you drop it on the corner, you're screwed. But you could attack it with maybe not a sledgehammer, but it'd be very hard to break in some directions and very easy in others. So they found something that makes it not break in all directions.
And this is not like a laminating process like you have with strong glass, structural glass in houses. You get like walkways made of glass and stuff, and that's essentially like laminates and heat treating and all sorts of stuff. But I've never heard about this. It's called like Superfest or something. It had like Supervest or something mad sounding. Sounded awesome. Anyway, I'll try and find the documentary I was watching if anyone's interested.
So some more slightly bleak news.
Oh yeah.
For your Friday evenings. So there was a report done in 2018 it was called the Gender Pint Gap. So it was looking at drinking habits of women, particularly compared to men, and hopefully seeing what could be done to sort of increase the amount of women drinking beer regularly, making the industry look and feel and be safer and more inclusive and I guess more attractive to women. The report back in 2018 was kind of shocking in how many people, the amount of women drinking beer more than once a week in the responses was 7%.
Wow, okay.
They redid this report this year, 2,000 respondents, about 1,100 of them women and the rest men for sort of the comparison. I'm delighted to say that figure of 7% drinking more than once a week has gone down.
Oh dear.
So we've actually bloody gone backwards.
Oh dear.
In terms of making beer attractive to women and women drinking beer, kind of almost as their first choice.
Can I make a suggestion why this might be?
Sure.
Because people don't work in offices in the same way they did the last time it was studied, right? So there's no more Friday drinks for a lot of people. There's no more after work drinks midweek or whatever. And maybe in those scenarios, maybe women are getting in on sort of rounds and things, and maybe it's, I don't know. I would say that might be it. Maybe everyone's has gone down, or is it just sort of women versus men? The women's has gone down percentage wise. Is that what you're saying?
I need to dig into the report again to look at what's happened with men.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's kind of interesting on that point, as is this more of a sort of a general society shift than just specific to women? Is that the actual number of women who never drink beer,
yes,
has gone down.
Oh, okay.
So it was 30% of women never drank beer in the 2018 report.
Okay.
27% of women never drank beer in this report. But the amount of people drinking it regularly, both once a week and more than once a week, went down. So it feels like more women are drinking beer.
Yeah.
But they're not drinking it as regularly. And in fact, the only place where it's gone up is drinking it once every 6 months. So I don't know whether there's some event in the country every 6 months that is sort of so beer specific that people who don't generally drink beer go, oh, I'll have a beer today. I'm not quite sure what. what that could be.
I've got an idea.
Maybe it's a craft beer channel live show. They happen
be.
about twice a year.
Well, my new, that's a doozy, isn't it? I'm not quite sure why, but
it's a really interesting report, and lots of what look like contradictory answers.
Yeah,
and sort of picking them apart and working out what's actually happening is really tricky. It's really worth digging into. There's a lot of, I guess, I don't know. I guess opportunities in terms of how. I mean, the main takeaway is that advertising is really putting off women. And I think quite a lot of work has been done to remove, sexist, non-inclusive kind of stuff, but not enough work is being done to actually be inclusive. So we've got better at not offending, but we haven't really improved in actually being attractive to people that don't generally drink, or people who are perceived to not generally drink. But on the flip side, there's also a really interesting response in it. So they asked the surveyed people, what could be done, what would make you consider drinking a beer, and a huge percentage, about 42% say there's nothing, just not interested.
They're just not interested, Johnny.
Which, you could say, oh, okay, well then, they're irrelevant, they're not interested in beer. But that's not a passive thing that's happened. Something has put them off completely, Could
it be like the last 80 years of television advertising campaigns?
I mean, it certainly could be that.
Yeah.
But, there's this narrative, and we talked about it recently, about, lots of beer writers and influencers and people in the industry are getting all up in arms about hazy IPA killing craft beer culture, and saying it's bringing in people that love New England IPA but don't want to drink any other kind of beer. And this certainly would be part of the evidence that counters that, in that these styles that are supposed to be more appealing to people that aren't drinking beer is having absolutely zero effect. So, I mean, I'm certainly going to sit down and really think through these results, because they are, super confusing. Outside of us getting the marketing, we're not doing much of the marketing, but getting the marketing wrong, there must be other things going on. And like you say, maybe it's the effect of COVID and stuff like that. I've got no idea, but it's just so incredibly disheartening, because it looks within the industry like huge progress has been made. But they also make the point that only 3% of brewers are women, 25% of brewery owners, I think, are women. It's still so male dominated. It's kind of pathetic, really, to be honest. So yeah, it's we are failing half of the population of the world, pretty much.
Well, I guess that's that is a way to get more people drinking more beer, isn't it? If we get women on board more, they could.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so maybe we should
a completely untapped market, according to this survey.
We're doing Keep Cask Alive, but maybe we should do buy a lady a pint. That sounds so sexist. It's beyond belief. It's so sexist, Johnny. But we need to buy a lady a pint.
Well, it's possible we should put the question out there to our female listeners. What could be done, or what did work? What got you into beer?
Yeah.
So that we can learn what to do. I mean, cards on the table. Craft Beer Channel it's less than 5% of our audience is women.
We do try. We try not to be
still shocks me.
Too laddie or too anything like that, right? So I think we're trying to be representative in the content that we make and who we're making content with.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard when only 25% of breweries are owned by and 3% of brewers are. But we do try, and we haven't been out and about all that much this year, so we haven't been doing that work particularly well. But I'm hoping that with Keep Cask Alive and some of the other stuff we're doing, we'll when we're out and about, it's one of the main things that we think about.
Big time.
And yeah, I mean, I guess just more of the same. Well, I was going to say more of the same work, but the same work isn't isn't necessarily working. I think that there's another thing, actually, that was picked out in the report, and that was 70% of women perceive beer as a highly calorific drink and intrinsically link the consumption of it with negative health implications, which is infuriating.
Yeah.
Because that's not being done by the industry. The industry is not making that apparent.
Yeah.
The industry is clearly not fighting that misinformation enough, because it's no more calorific than any other drink out there. It may be more carb high, but that's a sort of entirely different problem and a significantly less important one. So if women are seeing this as highly calorific and linked with negative health, that is down to the fact that every time there's a binge drinking article, it's beer that's shown. Every time there's a, even with this report from Trading Standards, beer is all the headlines, because when it's a negative story, it's always beer that's shown, because wine and spirits are seen as artisan endeavours that are enjoyed as special treats,
Yeah.
Despite the fact that that's fundamentally untrue, and that the actual nutritional information, they are, I guess, equally as bad for each other, depending on the volumes of each that you're drinking. So, I think that's another big negative that isn't necessarily to do with the industry, and also a big negative for young people. Young people are turning away from beer in their droves, and I think that's a huge part of it as well, because the mainstream press, and well, not just the mainstream press, the press in general, and probably our parents, treat beer in a way that makes us think that we shouldn't be drinking, or none of us should be drinking huge quantities of it, but that we should be choosing something else as a healthier choice, which is just bonkers.
Bonkers indeed, mate. Do you know what I've just thought about, which could save beer, potentially?
Oh, all right. You found the answer, just like that.
Lots of all kinds of people fancy Thor, what's his name? Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
And then there's obviously like Jason Momoa. We know he's in a beer advert and whatnot. But this week, Johnny, I've discovered that Travis Fimmel, who is Ragnar Lothbrok in the Vikings, amazing Viking series, very bloody, very sexy Vikings, kind of running around being cool and like heavy metal, dark kind of mystical shit. He is Australian. He's gorgeous, and he's got a low-calorie beer brand, mate, where all of his beer adverts are all, he goes, grab a traveller, 89 calories. But while he's sort of saying that, he is literally wrestling snakes and all other mad shit like that. So he seems to be a danger man, like his character, Ragnar Lothbrok. He's literally like going behind people are talking about what the snake is. It's a king brown snake, apparently, which is no joke. It'll kill you in like under half an hour. And he's just going up and tickling the sod's arse. And then going, drink this beer, chuck us a beer, mate. Drink this beer. And then he'll like release it at the cameraman. And the cameraman's legging it. But what my initial point was...
Right, yeah, I was hoping you'd get there, because all of that is going to damage beer.
Sexy, low-calorie, sexy man-fronted beer from Australia could save everything, Johnny.
I'm going to say no.
No? Okay.
I'm going to say, if anything, that'll damage it.
Potentially.
A, we've learned that selling beer with sex is a terrible idea.
I don't think he's selling...
B...
Yeah. He's not actually selling it with sex, right? Because he's not walking around looking sexy. He looks like a farmer.
But you're saying he's a gorgeous, ripped man.
I don't know about ripped. He's just quite intense. If you've watched Vikings, you'll know this guy, and you'll be like, he's cool. He's like a sort of Steve McQueen-esque Brad Pitt kind of dude. He's like a cool dude.
But a Viking.
The
other issue I have is that, selling low-cal beer has the negative impact of implying that all other beer is high-cal.
Yeah, 89
and
calories.
And it's no more high-calorie than a glass of wine.
That's...
or than, a whiskey and Coke. It's less, probably, than a whiskey and Coke.
89 calories. That's less than a Kit Kat, a two-finger Kit Kat, mate. I believe they're 99
No, I realise
calories.
that, but do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, 100%. I'm not advocating for
low-calorie beer is not the answer
yeah.
to... people perceiving great beer as high calorie.
So what about sexy Viking men?
No, I think that's just reductive.
Fair dues. Okay, so from the ridiculous to the sublime, Johnny, I've got some beer news for you. We were talking about what event, maybe biannually or annually, could make women drink more beer, right? All of a sudden, every 6 months, they might want to drink it. You speculated maybe it's one of our beer festivals. Got another one coming out with me, Johnny. Got another one. Another Love and Beer. But what I'm suggesting is, what if it's the Premier League darts final that is
could be
that is causing the spike in the beer drinking among women, right? Because I've got some news for you from the O2 in London, Johnny. The O2 Arena, no less. Darts fans left stunned by disgusting beer prices as they watch Luke Littler's incredible Premier League final win at the O2. We're talking pints here, Johnny.
Yeah.
Nearly £10 a pint. And
do we know what brand?
Yeah, I can give you the list. The draft beer list. Budweiser. A pint of £8.95.
Wow.
Stella Artois. £8.95. Pint of. Camden Stout, which is, I think, a bit of a rogue stout choice, but there you go. It's not even called Camden Stout, is it? Is it called Black Heart or something? I don't know. Camden's.
No, that's Brewdog, mate. Camden Stout is called Camden Stout.
Oh, it is called Camden Stout. Sorry, Camden. Sorry to say that. £8.95. Camden Pale Ale, £9.25. Camden Hell's Lager, £9.50. Look,
what?
£9.
Why is Hell's more?
I don't know. Lager. Why is lager more than an ale? I don't know. It's crazy, right? Doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean it takes more time to make a lager,
but we're used to paying more for
hops.
a pale ale, aren't we?
I mean, I think that's them knowing that they'll sell more Hells than Pale, so they'll just jack up the price a bit.
Yes, you're 100% right. So Luke Littler looks a bit like Peter Kay. He's 19 years old, apparently. He has got kind of a baby face. He's got a very sort of strange haircut. Or maybe, I mean, I'm a man with a strange haircut, so he looks cool anyway. I like him. He's got a good vibe. Apparently
Stick to the point, Brad.
He killed it. Oh, he's 17. He looks 40 years old, this man. He's 17.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Wild.
We've talked about this on the podcast, mate. We've talked about Luke Littler before.
Have we? Oh, right. I don't remember it at all. I've never heard of him. You must have brought that to the chat. Anyway, this is from the Daily Fail, this article. They went straight to Twitter to get some responses from people that might have been there. Simon Williams, disgusting prices then. I don't even know what that is. JW, those prices are very steep, disgusting really, especially served in plastic beakers.
Beakers?
Yeah, beakers, I don't know. Tom Park. I don't know.
Like a kid's beaker?
I guess they're just plastic glassware and they're calling it a beaker in a sort of derogatory manner, aren't they?
Oh, okay, sure.
Think Cheltenham is bad. Have a look at the drinks prices at PL Darts at the O2. That's from Tom Park. And then
that person lives a very different life to me. I was like, I thought Cheltenham race was bad for beer price. Okay.
That's quite a cultural cross, isn't it, between Cheltenham like horse racing and darts finals. So that person's going to both of those events. They're obviously a big drinker and they love getting on it and watching.
Or a big sports person or a big gambler.
I'm doing
one of those.
I'm doing air quotes when I say sports.
Oof, ouch.
No, sorry. Obviously, darts is an incredible sport. Now this one from Dermot Wickham. He is on the other side. He says they have a captive audience of clowns whose rationale for attending the event is to turn up in fancy dress, drink industrial quantities of overpriced bad beer, and chant insane songs while watching the action on a huge screen. Manna from heaven for the O2.
I mean, I've got to agree on that. It's a bit nuts to go to a stadium to see men and women throw, like a 4-inch dart at a foot-wide board. It's like, you're not going to see anything. Yeah. You might as well watch it on TV.
You might as well be pissed.
Well, yeah, but you can't be. I mean, how much? It'd take you 40 quid to even feel a little buzz. Good Lord.
These crew that are going to watch the darts, I reckon it takes more than 4 pints to get merry. And then I like this one as well. Michael Reed said, disgusting prices considering how everyone will chuck their pints in the air. I've never been to a darts match. Have you?
No, but I do believe it's incredible fun.
It does look fun. I mean, I'm taking the piss.
The atmosphere is supposed to be a lot of fun.
I mean, maybe we should.
I would quite like to go, but I wouldn't go to a stadium.
I think we should do a sports series because I'm notoriously don't know anything about sports, and I don't think I enjoy watching sports, Johnny. But what if you took me to some sports events? Like all of my mates when I was growing up at secondary school loved cricket, and they used to go and watch the cricket because that was an excuse to get on the lash as well. And you could take in your own beers. So they used to go. I didn't go with them, but they used to love going to watch cricket. I don't think they watch darts, but we could do a football one. I could review what the best, how many points I'm giving the actual sport, not knowing anything about sport. You could review the beer, and we could both give a sort of view on how fun it is. For drinking and watching.
Well, I'll tell you what. So Oxford United, my football team, just got promoted to the Championship.
Oh yeah, really?
Thank you.
What is the Championship like the Premier League, or is that something different?
The Championship is the one below the Premier League.
Oh, that's nothing. Fair enough. Okay, cool.
What do you mean that's nothing?
That's not that impressive.
We weren't even a pro team in 2010.
Is that a pro team now then?
10.
Right. Okay. So they're like.
No, we've been pro.
Yeah.
Jesus, we've been pro for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, we went into the non-leagues,
right,
and then we escaped that at Wembley final. I was there. I think it was 2010. Might have been 2011.
Yeah.
And we've slowly worked our way. Had some dark times and some good times, but we just won the playoff final from League One. So we're now in the Championship, one below the Premier League, which I never thought I'd see as an Oxford fan. But Luton have just been relegated from the Premier League, so just down the road from me, we could go see Oxford versus Luton.
Luton were in the Premier League.
Oh yeah, mate.
What? I mean,
oh yeah,
that's crazy.
It's an incredible story. It's basically the story that Wrexham wish they were,
right,
or are trying to be.
Luton,
but it's already happened. We just didn't have cameras.
Wow.
Yeah, they went all the way possibly from non-league all the way up to the Premier League. But now they've been relegated back.
That's wild. I don't even think I've ever heard of Luton as a football team being anything. So the fact they're in the Premier League, that shows how little I know about footy balls.
I think I can speak for everybody that listens to this podcast when they're not surprised that that you don't know about this story. Yeah. But anyway, so I could take you to the football in Luton.
Yeah.
The problem with football is you can't drink in the stands.
What? I'm out. How can you not drink in the stands?
Yeah.
What? So the stands.
You're not allowed to drink in the stands.
The stands are where you're watching the
happened.
football. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does everyone do for 2 hours? What are they up to?
They watch the football.
But that's no fun. I've watched many TV shows and stuff where people are drinking, especially America. They're all over it. They love drinking in stadiums.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only sport where that's the case. You go to the rugby, you drink in the stands. You go to the cricket, you can bring your own beer to most stadiums.
Right.
It's only football because of the hooligan element.
I see.
That meant that licensing had to change. So you can drink on the concourses, before you go in.
Yeah.
There's bars there, but you cannot take alcohol in.
Yeah. So
which has a stupid effect in that everyone just gets tanked up before they arrive or tanked up on the concourse and then goes in and is either an idiot or just really needs a wee and keeps having to go back out.
Do we not think this is part of the problem why football's got a bad rep? Because people are binge drinking before and after because they can't drink when they're watching the thing that they love.
Well, yeah, you are not the first person to suggest that this is a preposterous situation to be in.
Wild.
Yeah, but there we go. Anyway, I'm not taking you to a football game.
Johnny, I've just solved it, mate. I've just solved it. We let them drink.
Well, I mean, you're not the first person to have come up with that idea.
That isn't how I solved it. We let them drink alcohol-free pints while they're watching the game.
That doesn't solve anything.
Why not? They can't get Larry drinking alcohol-free
Sorry, if you go
pints.
up to somebody that's 4 pints deep and say, "Hey, you can have this low-alcohol beer,"
they won't know. They're pissed already.
Oh, I see. You're tricking them. Good,
they won't know. If anything, it's rehydrating them and making them less pissed.
There you go.
That's it. I want credit for that.
That's your second life solution that I'm not sure would work.
Think about it. It's genius. It's genius.
Involves. Yeah, genius.
I've got one more.
However,
silly
the other reason I'm not going to.
Yeah, go on.
You've got more. Well, I think we need to talk about the video now, Brad.
Okay, go on then.
I was just going to say that the other reason that I'm not going to take you to a football game and we make content out of it is because the last time we tried to go broad, which was this week, there was a mixed reaction to our reaction video, wasn't there?
There was. I mean, it's at this point it's cult classic, not bestseller. Quote in the streets there. But
that's what you've heard on the streets about our upload that got about 4,000 views.
The streets, like the Mike Skinner, the streets. Come on, Johnny.
Oh, you spoke to him about it.
That's
right,
a lyric from Streets, cult classic, not bestseller. That's what you're listening to the streets. On your radio or whatever. Can't remember.
Which is ironic because he's very much bestseller.
Yeah, I guess he is bestseller at this point. I think it's cult classic, not bestseller right now, Johnny. But it has potential. Don't get downhearted. It has potential to reach a wider audience. And I think if you are listening to this right now and you haven't watched it and you are a fan of Friday 5 p.m, you're going to love Big Geeks react to 90s celebrities beer adverts. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch it, because I think it's got a similar vibe to what we're doing now. It's kind of stream of consciousness from me. You are being very critical and like
angry logic,
and it's got all of the stuff from here that we love, but you get to watch something as well. We all get to watch terrible adverts from the 90s. Well, not from the 90s, but 90s stars. But we've got a whole playlist of these. So, guys, please go and watch it. So Johnny will make more of them with me, because he might not want to if we get terrible views.
I mean, I think I've learned a couple of things, and I would say I would love to hear from everybody that's listening to this. You can send us an email, craftbeerboys@gmail.com, or go to our website and fill in the form. You can put it in a comment on the video. You could hit us up on social, or if you're a Patreon, you can hit us up. Just tag us in the Discord forum. We'd love to hear your views as to what was good about it, what wasn't good about it, what you might want to see, or if you never want to see it again. But what I think I've learned is we went too broad.
Do you think? I don't.
And I don't think we offered enough, context and constructed criticism and information. So I think the next couple that we do, and I'm happy to do a couple more, would be, maybe reacting to beer documentaries, more serious stuff. We've got some ideas around that. And also maybe picking out some great advertising that's had a big impact.
Yeah. Serious stuff.
If we could look at Reassuringly Expensive by Stella, obviously the Guinness late 90s, the sort of all the stuff that was focused around the 119.5 seconds to pour a perfect Guinness.
Yeah.
And adverts like Anticipation and stuff. I think there could be a lot of gold there that would, educate and entertain, which is what we say all of our videos should do internally. Because I think this one was very entertaining, but we didn't learn much, and we put a very silly thumbnail, which I love, but I think it's maybe not appealed to our core audience.
Oh, come on, Johnny. That thumbnail was genius.
I agree. I was all in on the thumbnail.
I think what we do next time, we were drinking some great beers on the table. What we need to do is little beer reviews as we're drinking, potentially. Maybe we try and...
Well, I don't want to crowbar it in.
No. I don't really want to either, but we could have pinged up what we were drinking and then just...
And then it would have got 10 times the views.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I mean, I think there was a comment from Daiki Det Belisi who said, "Love this channel, but guys, reaction videos are the lowest common denominator stuff. Maybe it's because my 30s have crept up on me and I'm becoming annoyed at everything. As long as you don't start prank videos." No plan to start prank videos, but I think that's the view of people going in. They think it's going to be, the kind of nonsense clickbaity stuff that most YouTube reaction people make. But we looked at it, and maybe we didn't quite get it right in this video. We looked at it in terms of when people look at the context and the importance of stuff and really dig in. So stuff like I watch a lot of music ones, composers listening to Radiohead or guitarists listening to John Mayer or stuff like that, where they dig in and they teach you about the music, they teach you about the context, the musicians themselves. They really dig into the technical side of the music. Explaining the chord progressions and why they make you feel certain ways. That's sort of where I think we should have taken it a bit more. But it's a little bit hard when Harrison Ford is selling out so hard in his towel.
Yeah, I think there's some room for some of that. It's fun though, isn't it? It's a fun idea, Johnny. It is a fun idea. But yeah, I agree.
Well, the other thing to say is average view time was way up. So the people that watched it seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But lots of people didn't expect
it. I think maybe the name should just be, instead of Beer Geeks Reacts, it should be the best 90s celebrity beer adverts, you know?
Totally agree.
The best 90s celebrity beer adverts.
That's the other tweak we'll make on the next one. We went too hard on the reaction video bit because we're going to be better than that.
Yeah.
What comments did you find?
Well, talking of being better than that, Johnny, WWC Life said always use the rum method when analysing adverts. So this is to see if they're better than that. Is it relevant? Is it unexpected? Is it memorable? The best adverts have all three. So you said you only thought that one of them had all three of those criteria, which I strongly disagree with. So you're referring to the Sarah Jessica Parker, the Dude mashup video as having all three elements, right? I would strongly...
Which ones did you think
I'd strongly advocate Jeff Bridges is a bridge in Bridgeland. Is unexpected. Hang on, I'm going to look at what the three criteria are. So, is it relevant? Yes, it's in Amsterdam.
Why is it relevant?
It's in Amsterdam. It's Amstel beer. It's relevant. It's the city that it's from.
I think relevance has to be a little bit deeper than being based where the beer's made.
Dude, most beer adverts are about where the beer is, right? Like all Czech beers trade off of we're from Czechia. Essentially, that is it. That's their spiel, right? So I think it's fair enough to say that is a good criteria.
You can do that because Czechia has a reputation for great beer.
So does...
Amsterdam, if anything, has a reputation for terrible beer.
Has a reputation for great gear, not great beer.
Great gear, not great beer. Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm talking the macro beers there. There's some great beer happening in the craft beer space.
Yeah, there is. There's some great place to drink there too, and smoke there. Is it relevant? Yes, I believe it is. Is it unexpected? Yes, it fucking is. Jeff Bridges is a giant bridge. People are walking on his arms. Is it memorable? Yes, it is memorable.
It's definitely the last two.
It's memorable.
It's just not the first one.
It's relevant.
It doesn't actually sell the beer in any way, shape, or form.
They're talking about...
I do not walk away from that going, I'm going to have an Amstel.
Building bridges. It's Amstel.
And it could have been any beer.
Well, it's still relevant.
Because there's lots of cities with bridges, mate.
Meh. The only other one that's as
If anything,
famous...
I'd say that Amsterdam's famous for the canals, not the bridges.
Yeah, but you can't get around anywhere that's canal
Well, no,
system
I understand that.
bridges.
But, when you're walking around Amsterdam, you're not like, oh, another bridge.
I love
another canal.
I love bridges. They're one of my favourite things, other than canals.
I think it's the first time you said the word bridge to me when we were filming that. I don't remember you ever discussing bridges with me.
I love a low bridge, Johnny. That really get me going, a low bridge. When you see it on the road and you think, I can drive under that because I'm in a car. Oh, that's great. That is low bridge warning. No, I don't really... I mean, I appreciate bridges and viaducts, aqueducts, all those sort of things. All that spiel. The Romans, they were amazing at bridges, weren't they? Ancient aliens potentially doing something with all that kind of aquifers and shit in the distant past. Past those guys, way before the Romans. Don't know. I'm getting sidetracked here, Johnny. But yeah, bridges on bridges is for me. It hits all three bases. And
any others?
Out of that bunch of losers, I really like...
I mean, we've established that Del Toro is the reason women don't drink that much beer.
Yeah, I see, and I really
I
really like the Del Toro advert. But I do agree, it could be read as creepy.
It's pervy as hell.
If you didn't understand who he is, you would think the man is like a serial killer or something, the way he's looking at everyone. And
yeah, but even if you do understand who he is,
yeah,
that girl, the bar, the why have I forgotten my words? The bar staff won't know that.
No, he's you're true.
They won't know whether he's being creepy or just being him.
So is it relevant? No, maybe not. Is it unexpected? Yes.
No, men are always creeps.
Okay. Is it memorable? Yes. I'm sure she found it memorable.
I mean, all these adverts were memorable, but it's got to be for the right reasons
Yeah.
as well, hey?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're
Whereas you put those three against the advert that I really enjoyed with Jeff and Sarah Jessica Parker. It's super relevant. It's super unexpected. Like literally, it subverts, and it's super memorable. And at the end of it, I want a Stella. I want a Stella and a fluted glass in a fancy restaurant. It makes you want to drink the beer. I think it's such a good advert.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fairy Bobbins, Johnny.
Fairy Bobbins.
Walked in to find my partner watching this. Brad has indeed successfully broadened the audience base.
Come on. By one.
Yeah, by one, but we're one at a time. We'll take one at a time, Johnny.
Exactly.
We're trying to win people over that are not,
It's a slow revolution.
Exactly.
We're the lager of YouTube channels.
We are the lager of YouTube channels.
Slowly maturing.
Yeah. That's a good slogan, isn't it? We're the lager of... I quite like that. The lager of...
Oh, okay.
The lager of YouTube channels. That's quite good.
Is it relevant? Is it unexpected? Is it memorable?
Yes. We are.
It's pretty expected.
Slow growing. No, it's great. I like that. The lager of YouTube channels. That's good. That's back for t-shirt worthy. Yeah, and their official response was, I enjoyed this and look forward to their future reactions. That's the partner.
Right.
Daddy or Chips has taken a disturbing new meaning. Thanks, Brad.
Oh, God, yeah. I can't believe you don't know Daddy or Chips.
Well,
and I can't believe that it's now been ruined.
At the time, I didn't know it, and way after, I didn't know it, and then it clicked, and I was like, oh, yeah. I think it's because I didn't like the advert. It's someone, he's going like Daddy or Chips, right? And then she chooses Chips. Is that it? I do vaguely remember it, but it's not for me, Johnny. It's not for me. Kevin Murphy, the Beatles shot their revolver, and Jean-Luc Godard rode the French New Wave so that the CBC could ascend to astonishing heights. Love to see the lads having a laugh and have a look at what happens when Bradders does his homework and educates Johnny on Jeff Bridges' bridges. Thank you, Kevin.
I'm not sure I was being educated.
I'm not sure you're being
educated.
educated.
I'm sure I will be in later episodes.
I did do my homework, but I was also compiling about 10 different lists, and we just sort of happened to choose that one first.
Yep.
Flim6HM said, Brad, I get you, and that's all that matters. So there you go. We've got some people that are liking this site.
The fact that you guys are connecting, that's what the YouTube channel's all about.
Yeah. John said, a perfect match. Bad adverts for even worse beers. Fair point. I don't know. You were hating on some of the adverts, which I liked, and that made me question my sensibilities. And I was like, am I biased because I like the celebrities that are in the adverts?
Oh, you're definitely biased because you love the people.
Like I even don't hate the Harrison Ford wacky Japanese one because I quite like wacky Japanese shit. So I find it fun.
You see, this is the difference between an enthusiast and a critic.
No, but I can be
famously said that you can see past your own enjoyment and go, does this work from a wider perspective?
True.
And to be fair to you and to Harrison, I wish I understood what was being said exactly. And I do think that I really liked the idea of, wanting a beer so much that you mime it and making somebody else as a result of that mime want one. I just think that the delivery of it and the location of it didn't quite work for me.
Fair dues.
Oh wow, the sauna kind of did. I mean, it's not the worst advert. Like the Del Toro one is shocking. It's just terrible. It was probably terrible at the time, and it's aged horribly. I think the Jeff Bridges one is also terrible and crowbarred.
Yeah.
Then I'd go Harrison. I think Harrison is actually the third. Oh no, wait, the Van Damme one's terrible as well. And there are good Van Damme ones, but that one's terrible.
Yeah, I probably picked one that was long-ish.
It's an advert for Van Damme, really, isn't it? More than the beer.
I mean, they all are, let's be honest. But I picked one that was longish, right? Because the other great ones I found were a compilation of about 10 shorter ones. So I made an executive decision to choose one with a little bit more narrative and a little bit more of a sort of physical payoff at the end of it, where you see
it is a physical payoff.
Yeah. So like looking back, I'm like, well, I could have chosen some more whimsical. I mean, that was pretty whimsical, but my God, they get even more whimsical, if you can believe it. Some whimsical takes from Jean-Claude.
Well, maybe there'll be a dedicated Van Damme episode at some point.
Yeah, so
we'll see.
I hope so. I really hope so. I hope we pick up some steam and people sort of start to. I think once we change it to the best 90s celebrity beer adverts, that'll do it, Johnny. Go massive.
We'll give it a go.
Set adrift on fish and chips. You should react to the Wu-Tang Clan St. Ides commercial, right? So I Googled this, and I wasn't really familiar with St. Ides. My God, Johnny. They have made some absolutely incredible adverts.
So who are St. Ides?
They must be from LA or something, because they're all like West Coast rappers. Every advert has got an amazing 90s West Coast. We're talking like Tupac and shit, as well as Wu-Tang. There's
but what? Sorry, what are they advertising?
St. Ides beer, but I'm not even sure it's.
Oh, so St. Ides are a brewery.
I don't even know whether you could call it a beer. Really, it seems to be a malt-based thing, but it's alcoholic. It's like 10% alcoholic or something insane.
Crikey.
Yeah. But St. Ides, but they've got like some absolute bangers, man. There's some incredible. They're all really good. The tunes are amazing. So I've saved a playlist now of St. Ides commercials, because they're like, honestly, they're amazing. Like
okay, I look forward to it.
As a just to sort of see that 90s hip hop culture represented in. They're like rapping about how they want to drink the Ides. There's one with Snoop Dogg, and he's advertising like raspberry flavor one, and like rapping how that's his vibe. It's like, what? How much fucking money did they pay Snoop to do that? Although he does do.
See the origin of the somebody say just eat.
Exactly. It's he's obviously willing to rap about shit for money. But the roster of talent that in these adverts is beyond amazing. I was totally unaware of it. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah. What else? Did you have any other good comments, Johnny?
No, that was about it. And I'm conscious we're out of time, brothers.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
We've rambled long enough from Rishi to rappers to West Coast rappers.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, we're going to call it quits here. We will be doing some more reaction videos, but we're going to take all the feedback and the thoughts on board. We've learned a lot since, and we'd love to have your suggestions. Please do reach out. Next week there is an upload, a small upload. It's actually going to be the announcement of my new book, The Meaning of Beer, which will be available for pre-order from Wednesday. So there'll be a little video, an introduction to that book to tell you more about it. But there won't be a full upload, and there also won't be a podcast next week because
we're doing a live show, mate.
We're going live.
Like it's 95.
We're going live.
Yeah.
So wherever you are in the world, at 8 p.m. UK time, we will be going live on our YouTube channel with the amazing Jack from Baron Brewing.
Yeah.
I say from Baron Brewing. He is Baron Brewing. His name is Jack Baron. And he is a one-man band, a one-man Baron. So we're going live with him at 8 p.m. We are sold out of taste-along packs. But I've seen board shorts in all kinds of great shops around the UK, so you can still pick up that beer, maybe pick up some other delicious things. We're also going to be drinking a black IPA, a double IPA. I mean, a lot. It's a hoppy box. He's a hoppy brewer. So grab some delicious beers wherever you are in the world and tune in at 8 p.m. It's going to be great fun. We'll be live for about 2 hours, I reckon. If you want to add more fun to it, join our Patreon and join the chat along in the Discord, which is usually going on. Shout out to all those folks in there. But yeah, otherwise you'll see me for a quick video on Wednesday, and me and Brad for a long time on Friday night as we drink through some delicious beers from Baron. So till then, love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.